All right, this is Tom again. All right, so let's take a look at what? The third step we call the works. All right, now, this starts getting into a little of the guts of car selling, the information that you have to have. All right, so let's take a look at what it takes to pull this off. Now, here we are on the works. Remember what we've done. We figured out the problems, and we've presented to the client our package of benefits, and we got a, yeah, I'd like to do business with you. Once we do that, by the way, all of this is lickety-split, a heck of a lot faster than that old 10-step junk. All right, so once we get into the works, we're going to figure out some information. What specifically about a vehicle is needed? Not a vehicle that's needed. What inside of a vehicle is needed? We'll talk about the trade. We'll talk about a little bit about the money. And, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the credit, too. All right, so let's get ourselves clear on this. When we enter into the works, we've just got the, yeah, you'd like to do business with me, great. Say, okay, so let's talk about the vehicle. How much do you know about sport utility vehicles and the type of features that are on them and the things that you're really going to need to operate, not just for the next couple of months, but for the next 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. And then let them start telling you. And then figure out how they came up with their decisions. You know, you go, well, have you test driven one of those, and how did that go? And did you experience one of those, and how did that go? Did you read up on those, and what did you think about that information? That's what you keep doing. You keep finding out how they made their decision. Not all their wishes and their wants, how they made their decision to come up with the solution that they did. Remember, we're going to offer up maybe some of those solutions, but most likely different solutions than they came up with. That's what we're going to do later on. So we need to talk about that and how much they know about maybe a specific vehicle. Maybe they want a new vehicle, and so they go, boy, I really want the Honda Accord DX. You go, great, how well do you know the Honda Accord DX? Well, I went online, and I know it's got this and this and this, but I really want the da-da-da-da and this color and so on and so forth. They might go through all that business with you, and you're not going to necessarily go through every piece of that information either. Okay, so that's when we get into the vehicle, and then once we have enough information there, we're going to go into the trade. We're going to ask if they're going to trade in that vehicle, and then we need to talk to them about how we're going to come up with the true, fair market value on the vehicle. Right? Little hint, do not discredit their vehicle. A lot of people out there, sales managers, trainers, so on and so forth, will tell you to disparage their vehicle. Cut it down a bit so that it drops the value. It never works that way, so don't do it. Okay, so you got to talk about the trade. Next, you got to talk about the money. Why? Because whatever it is they need and they want, they are going to have to be able to spend a certain amount of money to do it. Right now, since 93% of everybody finances a vehicle, in some parts of the country it's 97%, it is likely we're going to end up on some type of payment issue. All right, so when we're going to go through and start asking about money, we're gonna say now, since most people budget their money on a monthly basis, how much are you setting aside for the new vehicle? That's what we have to find out. How much they're setting aside for the new vehicle, right? And then we ask them how their credit is. Bing, 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 and it starts going pretty quick, okay? So once we get all this, now, excuse me, we've got the guts of the whole bit. All right, because now what did we figure out? We figured out the problems that exist, that they're willing to commit to a dealership that does the cool things that we do and commit to a salesperson that does the cool things that we're going to do. We've gone through how they've made their decision and coming up with whatever solutions they came up with. Right here, we didn't buy into necessarily any of those solutions yet. We're just gathering information, right? And so that's got us to this point where we now understand the guts of their entire decision-making information bowl. All right, so now we got to get ourselves to the finish. When we finish right, you will find this particular type of transaction comes without you having to learn how to overcome objections. And there's a ton of trainers out there that have written books and CD series and all that stuff on how to overcome objections. Here's the top 100 ways to overcome objections, or here's the top 15 objections, or forget that. When you're selling that way, you're selling behind. And when you're selling behind, you lose gross and you lose penetration, and that's what amateurs do. You're not here to become an amateur, you're here to become a pro. All right, so Let's move on to the finish. See you on the next video.